Ever get that feeling that you're working harder than ever, but somehow just falling further and further behind? You're definitely not alone. There's this sense that the whole economic system is, well, rigged. In this explainer, we're going to dig into why you might be feeling poorer, and we'll be using the really provocative ideas of economist Yanis Varoufakis to guide us. And this quote, this is the heart of the whole thing. Varoufakis is basically saying that what we're all taught about economics is a fantasy. It's a nice story, sure, but it's deliberately designed to hide how the real system actually works, a system that, he argues, has almost nothing to do with free markets.
So that begs the question, right? If the economics we learn in school is a myth, then what exactly are we learning? And more importantly, how does that clean, sanitized version compare to the messy, often unfair reality that we all live through every single day?
Okay, so first up, let's step into this fantasy world of textbook economics. This is the idealized version of capitalism that has shaped how we all think about it, whether you actually took an economics class or not.
I mean, just look at the difference here. It's night and day. The textbook models exist in this weird vacuum where time doesn't really matter. There's no past, no future, there's no actual money, just abstract prices. And if you don't have money, well, you can't have debt, you can't have booms, and you can't have busts. By taking out time, money, and debt, these models literally remove the very things that make real-world capitalism tick. And that's Varoufakis' take, in a nutshell. He says these beautifully complex mathematical models, they're kind of like paintings in a museum. They're nice to look at, but they are completely and totally useless for explaining the crises, the inequality, and the crazy instability that we all experience in our actual lives.
So if the textbooks are just a fairy tale, what is the real beast? To really get a grip on the capitalism we're living in today, we need to go back and trace its actual history.
So forget that myth about the small-town baker competing with the butcher. The real story of capitalism, it starts way back in 1599 with the first publicly traded corporation, a company that literally had its own private army. From there, it grew into these huge monopolies that controlled everything from electricity to railways. After World War II, the whole system was managed on a global scale, until, of course, it all came crashing down in 2008, revealing just how unstable it really was.
And this right here, this captures the real engine of capitalism. It was never really about competition. It's always been about concentration of power. We're talking about giant corporations funded by megabanks that can essentially create money out of thin air, pulling value from the future to build their empires in the present. This has always been the reality.
Now, let's see how this whole system has sort of mutated in the digital age. You see, the internet didn't break up all this concentrated power. No, it supercharged it, and it created something that Varoufakis argues is completely new.
Varoufakis argues we've actually left capitalism behind, and we've entered a brand new era. He calls it techno-feudalism. In this system, these giant tech platforms, like a Facebook or a Google, they're not just marketplaces anymore. They are entire privately owned digital worlds. They are the new feudal estates.
And this is the fundamental shift. Under old-school industrial capitalism, the deal was pretty simple. You worked for a wage, and then you used that wage to buy stuff. But inside these new digital kingdoms, those lines have completely blurred.
Okay, this is where the story gets really personal. Because this massive economic shift isn't just some abstract theory. It directly redefines your role, our role, in the system. And it changes the very nature of what you do every time you go online.
Think back to the feudal era. You had serfs who worked the lord's land. They didn't own the land, but they got to live on it. And in exchange, their labor belonged to the lord. Well, Varoufakis argues that today we are all digital serfs. We get free access to these vast digital estates, and in return, every single click, every post, every search we make is a form of unpaid labor that makes our new digital lords incredibly rich.
I mean, really think about it for a second. What is the actual capital of a company like Facebook or Instagram? It's your posts, your photos, your connections, all your data. We are all chipping in minute by minute to build these massive digital empires, and we don't get paid a single cent for it.
1%. That's it. That is the tiny, tiny slice of Facebook's revenue that actually goes to its paid employees. So why is it so little? Because the company has a second, much, much larger workforce that it doesn't have to pay at all. Us. Billions of us creating all the value for free.
So, here's the crucial point. If this is the problem, what could a solution even look like? Varoufakis argues that the goal shouldn't be to destroy markets, but to actually liberate them from this centralized, feudal-style control.
He proposes some pretty radical alternatives. Like, what if every employee in a company owned exactly one share with one vote, making companies truly democratic? What if we just banned the tradable shares that created these corporate giants in the first place? Or imagine a system where a tax on land paid for a universal dividend for every single person, paid right into a digital account at the central bank. Now, these aren't concrete policies, they're more like thought experiments to show that, another world is possible.
And this whole diagnosis, it leaves us with a pretty stark choice, doesn't it? Now that we can see the walls of these digital kingdoms, now that we understand our role as modern-day serfs, do we just accept it? Or do we dare to imagine and start building a future with real, vibrant markets, but one that is finally free from the grip of techno-feudalism? The first step, as always, is to see the system for what it really is.